welcome to today's lesson. I am sitting here at the Big Ridge Overlook on the Blue Ridge Parkway in North Carolina. It's a great place you should visit should you get the chance to do so. So, what are we learning about today? We are going to talk today about time signatures. Time signatures. Those are those little numbers that appear at the beginning of our score that tell us more information about reading our music. So, we're going to recall information about note values and then figure out how to read a time signature. Enjoy! Alright, let's review these note values. Our first note, the whole note, is worth how many beats? 4. That is correct. Next, the half note. That's right, it's 2 beats. Up next, the quarter note. Correct, 1 beat. And last but not least, an eighth note pair. That's right, 2 sounds on 1 beat. And if we divide those 2 eighth notes in that pair into single eighth notes, they're each worth half of a beat. Now, each of these note values that we're talking about apply to 4/4 time signature or a common time signature, which we'll see more next.
Alright, it's time to talk about measures and time signatures. So, we see here at the top of our screen, here's our treble clef, here's our music staff. Before we begin, we need to remember that there are vertical up and down black bars that will divide our staff into measures. I'm going to split this one into 2 measures. Here is that bar line that divides it into measures. An equivalent idea of a measure is a sentence. One sentence will be here, followed by our punctuation, which ends the sentence. Another sentence here, followed by another punctuation point here that ends the second sentence. So, time signatures are going to tell us the amount and the type of notes that each measure contains. Here we have 2 time signatures on one side, 4/4, and on the second side, 3/4. In the first measure, the 4/4 time signature, we notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 quarter notes. Each quarter note is equal to 1 beat of sound. In time signatures, the top number is going to tell us how many beats are going to be in our measure. And the bottom number is going to tell us what note gets 1 beat. So, 4 beats in the measure, and the quarter note gets 1 beat. Here, our top number is 3, so there are going to be 3 beats in the measure, and again the bottom number is a 4, meaning that the quarter note would get 1 beat. Time signatures not only end in a 4 on the bottom, but there are others as well with different note values. First, we know that the top number tells us how many beats are in a measure, so if we see the 6, we know that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 beats in the measure. However, the bottom number is no longer a 4, but it is now an 8, meaning that the 8th note here will get 1 beat of sound. 1/8 note, 2/8 notes, 3/8 notes, 4/8 notes, 5 and 6/8 notes. Another bottom number that is different here. The bottom number is a 2, meaning that the half note will get 1 beat. The top number is 3, meaning that there will be 3 beats in the measure. So 1, 2, and 3. Here's a review of the 4 time signatures that we've studied in this short tutorial. The first in 4/4, top number 4, 4 beats in a measure, 4 on the bottom, meaning the quarter note gets the beat. Here, top number is 3, 3 beats to each measure, again 4 meaning the quarter note gets 1 beat. Here, top number is 6, 6 beats per measure, 8 meaning the 8th note will get 1 beat, and finally top number 3, 3 beats per measure, bottom number is 2, the half note will get 1 beat. Once we understand how to figure out and read time signatures, we then can classify them into 2 categories. The terms duple, triple, and quadruple refer to the number of beats in the measure. Again, looking at that top number. The term simple means that each of these beats can be broken down into 2 notes. Let's look at an example. 2/4 is classified as simple duple. Duple because there are 2 beats in a measure, like a duo, 2 people, or a duet, 2 people singing. And as stated before, simple states that each of these beats can be divided into 2 notes. So we remember that a quarter note is worth 1 beat of sound. We can divide it into 2 notes, an 8th note pair. 2/2 and 2/8 are also examples of simple duple time signatures. We remember the top note tells us there are 2 beats in a measure, and the bottom number tells us which note gets 1 beat. So the half note is equal to 2 beats of sound, and if we divide a half note into halves, we get 2 quarter notes. Same over here. Top number is 2. There will be 2 beats in each measure. The 8th note gets 1 beat. The 8th note is worth 1/8 of the measure, or 1/2 of a beat. And if we divide an 8th note into 2 parts, we get 2 16th notes. Next, let's take a look at a measure or a time signature that is called simple triple. Triple here meaning that there are 3 beats in the measure. We see the 3 on the top number and 3 quarter notes. Simple reminds us that we can divide these beats into 2 notes. So the quarter note, 1 beat, again is divided into the 8th note pair. Here are 2 more examples of a simple triple meter. We take the half note and can divide it into 2 quarter notes, and again the 8th note can be divided into 2 16th notes. Here is one of the most common meters that we will see, 4/4, and it is classified as simple quadruple because the 4 beats can be divided again into 2 notes. Quadruple meaning 4, like quadruplets, 4 babies, or a quad bike like a 4-wheeler has 4 wheels. A quadrilateral is a shape, a square, all of these things beginning with that same prefix. So, the quarter note, again divided into 2 8th notes, dividing the half note into 2 quarter notes, and again dividing the 8th note into the 16th notes. We want to notice that any time that a time signature is in a simple meter, the top number will always be a 2, a 3, or a 4. So on one hand, we have simple meters. Now we're going to go look at some compound meters. When they're compound, that means they are divided into 3. So let's start off by figuring out our time signature. The top number is 6, telling us that there are going to be 6 beats in our measure. Bottom number is 8, meaning the 8th note will give us that 1 beat. The 6th, 8th notes can either be grouped into 2 beats for compound duple or into 3 beats for simple triple. Here is the simple triple divided into 3 beats, or here divided into 2 beats for the compound duple. We can also superimpose the 3/4 time signature over here for the same pattern, dividing it again into 3 beats. Whereas the compound duple, we are now adding 3/8 notes, 1/2 plus 1/2 plus another half is giving us 1.5 plus 1.5 to add everything up to the same 8 beats of sound. Any time signature with a 6 on the top is going to be compound duple. 6/8 and 6/4 are the most commonly used. Here is our next time signature. It is 9/8. The 9 on the top tells us there are going to be 9 beats in the measure, and the 8 on the bottom tells us that there will be 8 notes that get 1 beat of sound. The time signature of 9/8 is classified as compound triple. It is triple because we have 3 dotted quarter notes, making us a triple meter. 1 dotted quarter note, 2 dotted quarter notes, and a 3rd dotted quarter note. And it is compound because each of the beats is made up of 3 notes. 1 beat, 3 notes, 2 beats, 3 notes, and the 3rd beat, another 3 notes. Any time signature that contains a 9 on the top will give us a compound triple meter. 9/8 is the most common. And lastly, we're going to look at 12/8 time signature. We know the 12 on the top tells us there are 12 beats in the measure. The 8 on the bottom is going to tell us that the 8th note gets 1 beat of sound. And this is compound quadruple because there are 4 beats. That is why we call it compound and quadruple. Each of the beat groupings is made up of 3 notes, helping us identify that the meter is compound. And finally, any time signature that have a 12 on the top is going to be a compound quadruple. 12/8 and 12/16 are the most commonly used. And just looking here, that 16 means that the 16th note is going to be the note that gets 1 beat.
One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, count with me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, waltz to 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now you see that a waltz is just counting to 3.
noble Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, and he marched them down again. Oh, and when they were up, they were up, and when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up or down. Oh, a-hunting we will go, a-hunting we will go. We'll catch a frog and put him in a bog, and then we'll let him go. Oh, a-hunting we will go, a-hunting we will go. We'll catch a snake and put him in a lake, and then we'll let him go. Oh, the noble Duke of York, he had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, and he marched them down again. Oh, and when they were up, they were up, and when they were down, they were down. And when they were only halfway up, they were neither up or down. Oh, a-hunting we will go, a-hunting we will go. We'll catch a fox and put him in a box, and then we'll let him go. Oh, a-hunting we will go, a-hunting we will go. We'll catch a frog and put him in a bog, and then we'll let him go.